What's poppin', yo? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another film review. This one is my final one of the DCEU before James Gunn takes over, and that I have missed out on in the past 2-3 years of not watching DC. So we have finally completed every DC movie, going on with Aquaman 2, The Lost Kingdom. Again, like I said, I was a DC boy before I was a Marvel boy, so I'm going to be doing my best to advocate for DC, trying to push DC forward and get more people to watch it, as everyone seems to be giving up on DC lately, especially with Fortnite not bringing the skins back, Lego not making any new DC sets, or even making any tie-ins with movie sets like that they do with Marvel. They don't do that for DC anymore, and even the CW shows have gone dramatically downhill since recent years. And let's see what Google has to say about Aquaman. So, after failing to defeat Aquaman the first time, Black Manta wields the power of the mythic Black Trident to unleash an ancient and malevolent force. Hoping to end his reign of terror, Aquaman forges an unlikely alliance with his brother, Orm, the former king of Atlantis. Setting aside their differences, they join forces to protect their kingdom and save the world from inevitable devastation. That's what Google says. We can't really trust everything we read on Google, so we're going to see what Tyler says. Let's see what Tyler can remember from the story. So I did watch this last night. I watched it from 12 till 1, because I did take a break in the middle to go to the toilet, go get something to eat, and that's why it took me an extra hour than it would normally. But the film itself basically starts off with Aquaman saying what we've missed. He now has a child, he's married Merida, and life's going well. His son's talking to the fishes, he's finally getting to share his gift with someone else, and his dad said he needs to give him a brother, which he isn't too keen on. So then we swap over to Antarctica, where we're taking a look at Black Manta, who for the past 4 years has been trying to find some remnant of Atlantean technology to fix his Black Manta suit. He has finally uncovered it with the help of Jimmy Woo from Marvel. The Ant-Man guy, Jimmy Woo. I don't remember what he was called. I think he's called Dr. Shin in this. And they find an underwater civilization, like a very ancient lost city, lost kingdom, that was once part of the undersea empire of Atlantis. He then finds this massive trident, mends it back together, and it gives him a vision and lets the main villain get into his mind, basically just corrupting him from the inside out. And 4 years pass, and global warming has sped up exponentially. And, this is their final. Over those 4 years, Black Manta has been robbing vaults of this very special old Atlantean fuel, which causes global warming to speed up and emits so much carbon that global warming will destroy the ocean. He's been getting all the resources, all the vaults of this, because it cannot be safely destroyed, so it's been put away in 12 different vaults. He's got 11 of them, and he finally takes on the one in Atlantis itself, and Aquaman fails to protect it. They get away, and they start putting it all in this volcano, this massive furnace, to speed up global warming. Aquaman then goes on a journey to save his brother from the desert, and goes to the island of the volcano to fight Black Manta and stop the stuff. They then find out that they need the blood of an Atlantean king to sort of reveal the ancient city, to break its curse of it's trapped in ice. And guess who they go after? Aquaman's kid, because he's the easiest one to get. So they go back to Antarctica to basically stab a child and put his blood on a table. Fortunately, Aquaman stops them. Orm redeems himself in this battle, and they defeat the big bad and basically bring down the temple, so no one has to worry about these guys ever again. Orm is free to go. He's paid his debt, so he's just laying low, and Aquaman reveals Atlantis to the world. Very Black Panther move indeed. But that was the entire plot of the film, very quickly summarized. I do recommend you go watch it for yourself, though. You'll get a lot more out of it than just me telling you what happened. However, there is a lot of plot holes in this movie, which I do I haven't seen the first one since it came out, I'm going to be honest, but I do specifically remember that Atlanteans couldn't come out the water without water masks on and water suits on. People who were born and raised in Atlantis were not supposed to survive outside of the water. So how come Orem, which in the first movie he couldn't survive out of the water, is now living in the desert without his suit, is now able to walk across the land without his water suit? So many other Atlantean people are able to walk on land without those water suits on. I don't know how they're doing this. I don't know why they're doing this. It just seems like a massive plot hole in the movie. I always remember them not being able to go on land. That could just be my false memory, but I am going to knock it down a point for that massive plot hole, because a lot of this movie does take place above land, so having them be able to do that would be necessary for this film, but I feel like it's just undermining the first film a little bit and not keeping with the continuity, because it was never really explained on how he could survive outside of the water. The suits look really cool. I like the outfits and the costume design. They look incredible. The villain was a pretty boring villain, I'm going to be honest. Black Manta literally just wanted revenge. It's the same sort of villain story that he had from the first movie, just continuing it on. And the big bad that was sort of mind controlling him wasn't much of a threat. He was killed with one trident throw. He was set up to be this big, powerful, strong baddie that was killed like that. He was pretty much quickly over and done. There was nothing too benevolent about him. He didn't seem too badass. He caught the first trident, but the second trident did kill him. Didn't really seem all that powerful, didn't really seem all that threatening, and sort of went through all this, seemed quite, he was built up to be this strong, powerful villain throughout the entire movie, and I felt like it was just quickly rushed at the end to get it over and done with, because they couldn't drag out the film any longer than they already did. There was loads of cool different places that they visited. I like this sort of Center Earth Jumanji type of place that they had with massive rats and crickets which were chasing them. I thought that was quite cool and interesting. Again, Jason Momoa is a wonderful actor. I loved him in this. He was so cool, so funny. He was yelling the woohoo that he does all the time. I like that. I don't know why. It's just tickles my brain. And I don't know. I'm just a big fan of Jason Momoa, so his acting was really good here. I'm happy to see him reprise his role as Aquaman, even if he's never going to do it again. I don't think he ended this off on a good note, though. I am going to be honest. They did leave it open for an Aquaman 3, but I don't believe that they are going to make an Aquaman 3, which is quite unfortunate because Jason Momoa made Aquaman cool, and he sort of took note from this at the start of the film. There was a subtle nod which everyone said Aquaman sucks at the start of the film, but Aquaman did suck, and he was a joke character, but as soon as Jason Momoa took up the role, took up the mantle of Aquaman, he was made cool, and everyone's a huge fan of Aquaman, and everyone wants to be Aquaman now. So Aquaman was made cool by Jason Momoa. I'm not going to accept anything else. I'm not going to accept any different. So I'm quite hyped, and I'm quite disappointed that he's not going to be Aquaman anymore in the DCEU. And I'm quite interested to see who the new Aquaman is going to be, because if it will live up to the hype of Jason Momoa, live up to the expectation that Jason Momoa set, or if they're going to revert him back to his uncool self. There is a lot of CGI in this movie, especially with the flowing hair under the water. That looked cool. Most of the CGI was pretty decent in this film, but there was just a couple of shots which looked extremely off. When they tried to CGI a face, which they normally do in DC, they fail. They can never CGI faces right. With Justice League as a prime example, where they had to CGI the mustache and beard off Henry Cavill, that was pretty atrocious. But with trying to do Jason Momoa's face as he's flying through the water, also looked very off. His mouth opened too wide, and it looked like he was sucking like Kirby, if that makes sense, which was kind of off-putting and definitely distracted me a little bit and took me out of the cool fight scene that they was doing under the water. Black Manta's suit also changed a little bit. Instead of having that big oval head, he had a very more round, circular, spherish head, which I don't know. I felt like it was a bit of an improvement with the circular head. It made him a bigger target, I'm not going to lie, but it did improve the massive sort of helmet design that they had before. and to make it a little bit smaller and probably a little bit easier to wear as well on the actor's behalf. The villains of the like dead corrupt creatures were pretty. They were supposed to be like the big final army, but they felt like the Chitauri, again one of the weakest sort of armies in the universe. They didn't feel very threatening. They looked ugly, and they looked disgusting, and they looked maybe borderline scary, if you could even call them that. But it just felt very underwhelming. The final fight had all this build up to it, and it was very underwhelming. It was very, very underwhelming. It did have the normal brotherly bond in movie, and I felt like that I watched this movie before. As I was watching this movie, I felt like I'd seen it somewhere else. I felt like I'd already seen this movie before, which I wasn't a huge fan of, and it kind of took me out of the movie a little bit more than I already was, because this story has already been told somewhere else, and my brain was picking up on it. So because of all that, I don't know where I saw it before, but because of it all, I am going to give Aquaman like a 6 out of 10, just above half, because I do love Jason Momoa and I love his Aquaman, and he was a decent movie, but it does have its flaws. So I'm happy that I've watched it. I probably won't ever watch it again, but it's definitely up there as like a middle ground movie. I'm happy that I watched it. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this YouTube video. See you all next one. Have a nice day, and goodbye. Stay home and stay safe. If you do want me to review any other movies, TV shows, anime, please do leave your suggestions in the comments below. And if you want a little bit more Tyler Price in your life, you can press the link in the description to take you to all the other social media stuff that I have to offer, from my TikTok to my Instagram to all the other stuff like that.